have Brian here. Brian? No? So this is going to be our last presentation for today.
Oh, I didn't know the internet doesn't work in here.
What doesn't work?
Oh, right. Oh, duh. My
That's actually that lady Eva DuVernay who also directed Selma.
Hi everyone, my name is Vikens Moskova. As Professor said, this is Ava DuVernay. So thank my classmate who did report on a movie she actually did earlier called Selma. So thank you for that background information. As you can see here, this is people just speaking about the event. So you can see that a lot of people found the movie very controversial, yet something they want to talk about. Um, as this quote says from Duvernay, every line, every frame of this film leads you to a place, to that place, leads you to the now, and leads you to the movement. The 13th Amendment is what the movie is based off of. If you guys aren't familiar with it, it says neither slavery nor involuntary servitude except as punishment for crime whereof the party shall have been duly convicted shall exist within the United States or any subject to their jurisdiction. So it seemed like they actually outlawed slavery with the amendments and whatnot. But there was actually a loophole that the southern states started to utilize, which basically says once you are convicted of a crime, you are now slave to society. You can see in this chart here how state and federal prison inmates have risen drastically, which will help you to understand why somebody would take their time out when they could be doing Hollywood movies. As she was vetted by Marvel Studios to do Black Panther, but she actually decided not to go with it because they were that Marvel engine was too much for her. Some details on the movie. It is based in the U.S. They speak pretty much English throughout the whole movie. It was released October 2016, so fairly recent. Also known as the 13th. The different filming locations is West Oakland Amtrak Station in Oakland, California, which is also where DuVernay was brought up. So the 13th Amendment came after Black people in the United States and African Americans were freed, quote unquote. My family's not from here, so I've learned about it growing up here myself. As you can see here in this photo, it's not necessarily a race thing. In these different jails, it affects all different people. But some other statistics that started coming up were the myth that there were, more Black males in jail than in college, which is very much not through. Can't see the whole graph, but in the blue it says 1,437,363. Sorry, I just woke up. But this stat is from 2013. So hopefully over the last couple years, they didn't all get shot by cops. As we saw with all the hashtags, the young men, and more people like me did go through college. 13th examines the dramatic rise of incarceration numbers in the United States, from some 513 people in 1970 to 2.3 million today, pairing them with the widely circulated assertion that 1 in 3 black males were in prison in their lifetime. And you can see his brother here asking, am I next? No, he's not, because of people like Ava creating movies. As you can see, another stat here, this is another chart, just in comparison with other countries. This chart, this part of the chart here, is actually all these countries put together in comparison to what the United States. Oh, is my man snoring? Who's that? Yo, can you stop snoring, please? I don't like that. So anyway, the theme, Ava DuVernay's film investigates the roots of America's mass incarceration problem. U.S. has the largest prison population in the world, both in terms of the actual number of inmates and as a percentage of the total population. Throughout the film, they continually speak about this and the 13th Amendment. Sub-theme saying approximately 18,508,926 people in U.S. population are black males of all ages. And you can see these stats, more and more statistics that are being pulled out. With such a small percentage of the population, it's kind of coincidental, you could say, on why this would be like this. But soon we'll start to find out that these courts are, on the stock market, and these papers that they're creating in jail with all these black people are considered derivatives, which we know with companies like CCA, which is traded on the stock market, adds to their bottom line. So when you can pull people into your system that can't defend themselves, like such as a white person that mom, dad, family that was systematically put down. And this is what Ava gets into. So when you go on Netflix and you watch this, you'll see a lot what she's talking about. And the subplot, so the plot is depicted around the 13th Amendment, which, like, it says it formally abolished slavery in the United States back in 1865, but it actually didn't really do that per se. It was a new form of slavery that it created. So rather than these old slave masters, getting rid of their system completely, people sat down at a table or a room like this, had somebody like me speaking, probably with ideas on how we can actually figure out how we can actually do this. Well, not me, obviously, but certain people in history. So Ava, a Hollywood director or whatnot, she actually was in the film too, took a chance to actually speak about this and create a movie. And instead of putting it out in Hollywood theaters, she put it out on Netflix where a lot more people could see it. So there's names for this. It's called the Prison Industrial Complex. Public education is said to kind of create this, especially in places in the U.S. where people don't have the schools. So some of the characters are actual real people. As you can see, they're mostly scholars, activists, and politicians. Donald Trump and Hillary Clinton are actually in it as well, speaking on how they, how in the past they were pushing black males as savages and animals, which they weren't the only ones to push this, but it's been pushed through the media. So nowadays, black males is going out, if they're not part of like some fraternity or whatever, they're opportunity looked at as this, and you can see at the bottom, Philando Castile, Tamir Rice, who was just a 12-year-old boy playing with a small fake gun, and someone called the cops on him, and 0.3 seconds later, as soon as the cops came, a little 12-year-old boy was shot and killed. And this happened so much. It happened to a USC college graduate the other day. So people like me start to get numb to it. So anyway, some of the narrative style and structure is basically a bunch of interviews with video clips in the backgrounds backing it up. So sometimes you can see these people actually speaking as the movie's going on. So the only original footage are the interview pieces that Duvernay juxtaposes these clips with affecting real imagery and sound design. As you can see here, this is an actual real judge that was sentenced to 28 years because they realized, he was actually getting incentives for every child. I think that's in Philadelphia area. So there's people that are amongst us that actually, kind of push this rather than telling the truth and doing that. They get incentives for keeping the truth away from us, and then it keeps us apart, not understanding that we're all kind of one. So this guy, who's probably getting his kids through some of the top schools, driving nice Benzes, at the same time making over 100,000 base. But little do we know, all these judges get super amount of kickbacks because they actually own the court that they sit in, which people don't realize, but is a private corporation. So the genre of the film is documentary film. People, oh, wait, my apologies, I saw this line, I'm not sure why that's there. But anyway, some of the corrupt judges, you can see more of them getting some kickbacks, millions of dollars. The ideology of the film is focused mostly on race in the colorable United States criminal justice system. The film is titled after the 13th Amendment to the United States Constitution, which outlawed slavery. Some other ideas, mass incarceration, the prison industrial complex, slavery in the United States, and Southern strategy. I realize when people have, because I've been good, my father's disciplined me so well, and I had a great family, but, there's people that once they get some sort of sentence or whatever, felony, they won't even get, it makes it very hard to go to school and very hard to get a good job. So how are you going to pay for school? It's already tough for us, or you guys who make $20,000 a year or just about that. So how can somebody else, without selling drugs or something, figure that out? So you can see some of the things that create this system of prison industrial complex, like when you lose community service, arts, culture, parks, when we don't have our seniors speaking into us, being leaders, now they have to go back to work. You see a bunch of seniors in ShopRite, I'm like, yo, don't you get Social Security? Like, what's wrong with this? I don't want to be old. Now I have to figure out now how I'm going to make enough money so when I get old, because Social Security is obviously not going to be enough. And if I'm the only one thinking that, then, whatever. Anyway, formal aesthetic elements. Each interview is shot in a location that evokes an industrial setting. Visually supports the theme of a prison as a factory churning out the free labor that the 13th Amendment supposedly dismantled when it abolished slavery. Visually supports the theme of a prison. Oh, did I repeat that? That's weird how sometimes technology does stuff like that. But anyway, you can see some of the different instances of the prison industrial complex again. Because these people, when they're in jail, they're actually creating products we use, like, our phones sometimes, or screens, but they make 19 cents an hour, and then places like Walmart can sell things that we think is super cheap, and we wonder why, It's because they made it for cheap. They got the parts from somewhere where they colonialized somewhere in Africa to get the parts to ship it to China to be made even cheaper. And we just keep it going by when we have our cool little Apple iPhones and we walk around with our symbol and we're better, and then, you know, Google comes out with Android, and it's basically the same thing, just in different form. Um, some background info. The film was actually filmed in secrecy, so there wasn't too much about it, like, you know, until it came out um, in the New York Film Festival. So what a way to come out. Uh, so dude here, born and raised in Compton, California, like I said earlier. In addition to interviewing leading legal scholars and activists like Angela Davis, Lubernis says she reviewed about 1,000 hours of archival footage, including images of lynching, cell phone videos on police abuse, the birth of a nation, the 1950 DW film that glorified the Ku Klux Klan was screened at the White House for President Woodrow Wilson. So, like a president. People talking about Donald Trump. This guy had a screening for the Ku Klux Klan propaganda film like this. Hey, I'm the president. I'm watching Ku Klux Klan film. Like, so you worried about Trump when there was. I hope Obama's not racist or prejudiced, but every other one was. So anyway, this film goes into that. Um, so this is just more info on the prison industrial complex because it's so well ran. Like, I didn't even realize how good I was doing until I started doing more research on how many of my other brothers who aren't supported by, you know, money or whatever, um, how hard it is. So I did more research to figure out why would it be so, like a whole system go so hard to like fight, and what's the secret, like what are they hiding? So I did more research, and then some articles in Time came up that speaks on Neanderthal DNA, how it lives in certain modern humans.